Small business owners up and down the country, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Happy New Year to you both. Finally,
Thank you.
We know this deal. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? We really have been waiting a while for this, to hear what the end of the transition means for businesses. So you might think of businesses as being big corporations, but there are actually nearly 6 million small firms in the UK with a small number of workers, and they didn't have long to work out what these changes mean. So let's have a look at them. So the good news is, for those selling goods to the EU, there will be no taxes and no limits on how much they can trade. But there will be more admin, customs declarations to fill out and border checks. Businesses will have to prove exactly where their products have come from. Now, the government has acknowledged that means there will be disruption as everybody gets used to these new rules, but we don't know yet how tough the checks will be. How much of a delay could incorrect paperwork cause? One worst-case scenario predicts that if 30% of hauliers don't have the right forms, there could be a backlog of 7,000 trucks in Kent. We talked a lot about goods in and out, but a lot of money British businesses make is from services that we provide. So things like banking, transport, architecture. Now, they will lose their automatic right to sell their services. UK qualifications won't automatically be recognised either. So doctors, chefs, beauticians, they'll need to work out the rules where they want to work. Big challenges ahead for businesses like Elizabeth's. Her business provides digital support. And part of the challenge for Elizabeth and for others is that free movement of people has now come to an end. So if you want to stay in the EU for more than 90 days, you will need a visa. Problematic for lots of industries, but particularly for those working in the creative sector and touring artists. Ronan Keating and Katie Tunstall are among musicians who've signed a petition calling for visa-free travel for musical performance. They've warned that entire tours could end up being cancelled. And it's not just about the artists. The UK music industry contributes nearly £6 billion to the economy every year. So cancelled tours could mean cancelled jobs. High stakes indeed. Now, the government says it did try to get a better deal for musicians, but its proposals were rejected by the EU. Now, even though the deal is done, there are still areas which will need further clarification in financial services, chemical exports, even sausage production. It still isn't entirely clear how rules will work when selling to Northern Ireland either. They'll stay in step with the EU in some ways to prevent a hard border. So while this is the end of Brexit, it's also the beginning of working out exactly what the new rules mean for jobs, for holidays and the prices of things we buy. And don't you worry, we'll be there every step of the way. And later on, after 8 o'clock, we'll be looking at how the new rules will affect holidays, because that is the biggie for lots of families, isn't it? Speaking for myself there.
And many others as well.
Yeah, Nina, thank you. Thanks for us. Good luck, Nina. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. With everything that's been going on, you'd be forgiven for not thinking about this end of transition period from the EU, but it's important for holidays, and the thought of that holiday to France or Spain, Italy or another part of the EU is getting lots of us through this horrible winter, isn't it? Now, it's worth saying that, of course, the advice at the moment is not to travel, but with the second exciting vaccine rollout starting today, we are daring to dream for later in the year, aren't we? Now, as things stand, you can only enter the EU for essential reasons like work, but once things relax, things will be different. So a 2-week holiday on the beach in Spain or a city break in Prague will be fine, but you will only be able to stay in the EU for 90 days out of every 180-day period. So collectively, for about 3 months out of every 6. If you want to stay for longer, for study or for work, you will, though, need to get a visa. There's some good news if you want to travel to Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus or Romania. These countries are exempt from this, and travel there won't count towards your 90-day allowance. If you're booking well in advance, it's worth knowing that these rules are likely to change again from next year. Then you'll either need a visa or to pay for a visa waiver scheme, worth checking nearer to the time. And on arrival, you'll now need to queue in the non-EU line, and there are some really important passport checks to make. So what about health insurance? Well, if you've got a European health insurance card, that is valid until it runs out. A replacement version, the free global health insurance card, is now available, but the cover isn't fully comprehensive. It's always been worth looking into separate insurance, especially if you have a pre-existing condition. Now, could we see a return to those nasty surprises when you use your mobile abroad? Hopefully not. Most UK phone companies say they have no plans to introduce roaming fees, and there are caps in place at the end of your allowance. But things could change because we've lost that EU protection against charges, so do be sure to check before you travel. Now, if you're taking your pet abroad, I'm afraid their pet passport is no longer valid. You'll need to make sure they're microchipped and that they have an animal health certificate. Vets will issue those for about £100, and you'll need to get them at least 10 days before travel. Those will also be needed if you're taking your pet to Northern Ireland too. Lots of things to be aware of for whenever we all take trips again. I cannot wait. And good news if you are fans of duty free. That's back for alcohol and tobacco with some limits on how much you can bring back into the UK. Hopefully, things won't change that much. It will be just a case of adjusting and double checking everything before you travel.
Both of us were absolutely glued, Nina.
I'm sure.
It's good news about the phone tariffs. I've been stung by that in the past.
I know. You open it and you're like... Yeah, but hopefully, you know, things won't cost, unless you've got a pet, things won't cost that much more, and the transition will be reasonably straightforward. It's just waiting until we can go now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the other big slice of it. Thank you very much for that, Nina.
Thanks.